Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time once again with Sudoku Sleuth, and I can obviously immediately confess that this video is a little bit late. I hope that doesn't disappoint too many of you because you're probably used to having a video with your morning coffee and a puzzle to solve before you get your day started. You can probably see from my background that we have actually arrived back in London, and yeah, we just decided to drive all the way back from Munich to the UK in one go. And there was a few delays along the way, so we didn't get back until 1 a.m. this morning. So I'm actually recording this on the day I'm posting, and I'll post this straight away, as opposed to doing it the day before and just making sure that it's scheduled in an appropriate time. Fantastic trip. Maybe I'll come back to it at some point. Now, I did sort of cop out somewhat yesterday with clearly a much easier puzzle, with a few of you posting that only took you like a handful of minutes. I think it took me, closer to 10 probably? Not that I'm being competitive at all. I'm not competitive. No. I'm sure you can spot the sarcasm there. So I feel like I owe you guys something that is going to be much more challenging, something to get your teeth stuck into. And I wanted to come back to the Colorado series by Florian Wortmann, where I think this is probably the hardest rated puzzle in the series. So this is a 3-star rating. It's also the most difficult rated puzzle we featured on this channel. So I hope it will keep you guys entertained and so pose somewhat of a challenge compared to yesterday's video. Anything else I want to share before we move on? Yeah, you can probably spot the wordplay on this, El Dorado. I'm kind of assuming that Florian is naming this Colorado as in color, not Colorado the river. So I'm just trying to enjoy the fact that it's something that I'm going to have to sort of think about some wordplay for every one of the series. We're on number 4. There is 8 at the moment. So I'll just keep thinking of wordplay on this. I've done river twice. I've done a colored quilt once. Let's see what other ideas I come up with for the next part of the series. By the way, if you haven't played them along, I'll make sure that I link a card up here somewhere to earlier ones in the puzzle. If nothing else, I'd encourage you to go back to the earlier ones because they are a little bit easier to solve compared to the one we're about to embark on today. But I think that's enough of an introduction. Let's take a look at today's puzzle. So, Colorado 4 by Florian Wortmann. Normal Sudoku rules apply. So that means the digits 1 to 9 in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. Fairly normal. Digits may not repeat on the marked diagonal. So we've got a blue diagonal here that you can see. Still on the laptop at the moment, but that's my reason for struggling to highlight the diagonal here. Cells separated by an X sum to 10. We've got many of these, as you can see, throughout the puzzle. Cells separated by a V sum to 5. Again, we've got many of these highlighted throughout the puzzle. Now, a very distinctive feature of this series is all X's and V's are given. So just keep that in mind that negative constraints apply. And I found, at least for parts 1, 2, and 3, that this is critical for being able to solve the puzzle. Lastly, we have digits in the cage summed to the small number in the top left corner of the cage. We only have one of these here, which is a 22 cage made up of 4 cells. And typically, you end up having to color, hence the name Colorado, I assume, the entire grid with X's and V's. And then the last clue, which today is a killer cage, helps you basically figure out what are all the digits in the various placeholders that you've got. If you want to play along, link will be in the description down below as per usual. I do hope you give it a go. I think we have probably built up the skill set and the confidence to be able to solve this despite the difficult rating. And with that said, let's restart the clock and see how we get on. So if you've seen any others in the series, you know by now that what I always do is color the V's kind of blue or green for low. And I introduce the fact green because, A5 can be composed of only two different pairs. It's either a 1-4 or it's a 2-3. Now, regardless, whenever you end up using them, whether it's in the box, column, or row, once you've used the pair, we know that the other V has to be the other pair. So I use that as a way of very quickly marking up which ones are which pair. Clearly, I don't know which ones they are, but it just helps me get sort of started. And you can see this tactic seems to pay off fairly well, where you can very quickly start to make some decisions. An excellent example here is this X, where because we've already placed two blues in box 6, we know that this X is joined by a green. But in row 5, we've already placed two greens, therefore the green has to be on row 6, and this is the high digit, high being red, of course. Now these, I'm going to say, are blue-red, but notice because we've got negative constraints, the blues have to be essentially offset on a diagonal. They're not in the same row, aside from the fact that we've got this here in column 2 saying that if they're in the same row, that's 3 blues. But because there is no V connecting them, they have to be separated. Now, blues in column 4 means this is green. These two are red. That's another blue. Well, blue-red combo, I should say. Therefore, this is green. And we're at least getting to color very nearly all the blues and greens for the X's and V's. I say very nearly because I'm looking at box 9 and I'm thinking maybe not. We probably need a little bit more information before we can actually color this. Yeah, I can't even make the deduction, for example, that there is a green in this pair, because you can almost sort of make the assumption that both of these are not green, otherwise it would be a V connecting them. But nothing stops us from being green and blue, as an example, and both of these being red. That's still totally valid based on the way it's marked. So the next step I normally take is essentially I start using letters, and typically I do A and D, B, C, and it almost doesn't matter what the letters are, providing that you are consistent in your application of them. Something you've probably often heard me say. So let's have a think. So we know that there is an A somewhere in here. We have a D somewhere in here. We unfortunately, for now, no, we do actually know, because this is a B, this is a C, therefore this is a B, C, B. So we do actually know. But I don't think we know what the others are for the moment. No, we can. The other thing that I do is essentially an A will be joined with an I. I probably should do a tutorial about this at some point. So A's and D's make 5, but A's and I's make 10. Essentially, I'm sort of radially going around the E on the tool that we have here in the puzzle. So because this is F, we know that this is not F, this is I, and therefore this is A, this is D, this is A. And you can see how sort of using these sort of pencil marks can help you make a tremendous amount of progress relatively quickly. I don't think we know what these are. What we do know, though, and this is red and F. You can see, for example, this is either an AI pair or a DF pair. And then this is the counterpart, essentially using up A, D, I, and F. So we end up with 3 that are not A, B, C, D, there. E, GH, I'm going to say. Yeah. And you can kind of see that this GH is going to be very restricted because it's adjacent to BC. Now, it's not that restricted because we've already placed the one that's associated with it here. This is the opposite one, so it actually has no material restriction. Ignore what I just said. What we do know, though, is because we've got GH in the column, is that this is the E. That's not an E, pardon me. And that's GH to complete the box. And we are left with, looks like an I to complete the row. That looks solid. C's goes with G. To complete the row we need. We've placed A, B, C, D. We still need E. I'm going to say G. Nope. H. Yeah, H. Which is helpful because if B is next to H, you can essentially have to have an X in here. So that's E, that's H. E, by the way, is the only one where we actually know what the number is. So I am going to continue with E's, but we're going to say that we have placed a digit after minute 6 or 5, whenever I've sort of placed this particular E. But I'm not going to do that just yet. I'm just going to pencil mark or, pen mark all the letters in first. So this is C and G, it seems. And to complete the box here, we have E, H, and F. And B cannot be next to an H. The rest seem fine to me. This seems fine to me. We know that these two are the same. No, not a lot more just yet. Right. So boxes 4, 5, and 6 have come a long way. I think I'm just taking a look at where else to put this energy. So, here's kind of a piece of logic. We have 3 x's. And we actually know the composition of these x's because we've got an A in the same box. So there is a B joined with an H, there's a C joined with a G, and there's a D joined with an F. What we can't have is an I in any of these because how would it get to 10? Because the A is gone. So the I has to be in this outside of the x's. It's not adjacent to the A, otherwise it would be an X joining them. And 5, the E, couldn't possibly be placed on any of these x's, otherwise you'd end up with double 5s. So that's not E. C could be any of these. Just thinking through. Be helpful to know what some of these are, but I'm not sure that's doable just yet. We still need to place an F and a G by the looks of things. No, an F and, pardon me, and a D. Well, the D is not next to the A. That's the D. That's the F. Which tells us that this is an AI. And therefore this is DF. And this is therefore AI again. We can now complete column 1 relatively easily. This needs to be A, B, C, D is gone. E is gone. We need F and D to complete this column. This is now an E. We've got GH in here. We have another GH, which is the opposite of this one. We know it won't be up here, but it's just too messy to pencil mark, I think, still. Let's look elsewhere for now. Say, let's look elsewhere for now. You know, skip 5 minutes ahead where you'll probably see me coming back to it saying, hey, I did say it's messy, but, I gotta have to go with it. We'll probably have to use this diagonal in the not too distant future, but before I do so, we still need to place a D in here, which is clearly not joined to the F, and an E. We know E is down here. In fact, I could go a step further and say E is down there. Now, because of the diagonal, yeah, I've already placed an E. Yeah, let's take a look at the diagonal, I think. We still haven't placed C's on the diagonal, so we're missing A, C. Yeah, we're missing quite a few still. Is that going to be helpful? Maybe. Is there any other logic I can spot? So we know that D is up here. Therefore, F is in one of these. No, I'm going to use a diagonal. Right. We have to have all 9 letters on this diagonal. That's sort of kind of step 1 of this logic. And therefore, the remaining unused letters are A, C, G, H, and I. That's quite a lot of letters, but let's clean this up. G, C, and I are not here, so we're already down to just AI is not in here. C, G, H, still quite a few options. A is not in here either. Can I do a bit more? Probably. Yep, C is not here at all. This is not A. So A can occur in one of 2 places. Don't know if pencil marking all of them is actually a good idea, because you end up not seeing sort of the wood through the forest, so to speak. I'm just gonna have a think about it for a moment longer before I decide whether I want to abandon this just yet. I'm going to leave them as they are. There is a bit of logic. Well, so B is not next to H. That's for free. But we don't know if this is a G or an I, unfortunately. That's not helpful. Because nothing is really next to them just yet. We know that C is in one or 2 places up here, but that's just not enough for now. Let's have a think. What else do we know? So we said we know D is in here. That's good. Therefore, we know F is in one of 2 places. Yeah, here is a bit of logic that I'm going to immediately abandon. I was just looking at the fact that we have A and I in here, and I can only place one of them. So I was thinking the second has to be in here, but that's not true, because the second could be absolutely the I just here. So do you remember how I was saying fast forward 5 minutes later and we'll take a look at box 2? Let's do that now. So that's from, yeah, I should have done this earlier. AI, AI, GH. Because we have an A and an I left. They have to be separated. Now we've got GH in the row. That's not GH, that's a C. So that was waiting there for a while. We know what all these GHs are. This C can't be next to a G, so that's an H, G, B, C, H, G, C, B, G, I. There we go. So we've got AH, and to complete this, we need a G, it seems, in here. And that's the diagonal largely done. Now this I tells us A, I, I'm thinking we probably have enough to crack box 9 now. Let's think this through. So CG is not here, and it's not there, it's in here. And we know the order because of these two in column in box 3. So this is, we need a B, it's not in there, and it's not here. So this is a BD pair joined with an FH pair. And therefore this is the other FH. Now we've got AEFH, that looks correct. A is not here or here, still can be here. Yeah, so not yet, very nearly, but I don't think this is the way to solve it necessarily here. Probably need to do a bit more Sudoku, maybe up there, and we're going to have to think about this killer cage in a moment, but I will pencil mark this, despite my reservation against it. So this is AEFH, that's not A, that's not H. A can be here, E can be here. So can F by the looks of things. There's no issue with that. Yep, E, we knew that. It's not F, it is H. Yeah, B is nowhere near it, there's no problem there. Okay. So I am gonna have a think about this killer cage. Now the first question I wanted to think through is, can we get to 22 without any low digits? And I think the answer to that is no, because the lowest we can use 4 digits would be 5, 6, 7, 8, which gets us to 15 and 11, 26. So we absolutely have to have a low digit in here. Now that low digit is not a B. And look at that, it's not a C either, because we've got these C's in here. So the C is in there. So at a minimum, either A or D are in this box. Now, can we have both? Pretty sure the answer to that will be yes, because we could have 3 and 4, let's say. That's a 7, and we need 2 digits that get to 15. Yeah, to make up 22. So that's totally achievable. So we have either A or D in here, but we need at least one of them. I think it's helpful to remember that. Can we do any more in this column? I think we can actually place the C, because C is not anywhere to be seen in this column, and these two are gone because of the row. So yeah, C is placed, and in fact it is here as well. Therefore this is not a B. This is not a B either, that's the B. So yeah, turns out we can do quite a bit. We still need to place A, E, and H. A, E, H. Clearly that's not an H, that's not an E. It'd be helpful to know if A is definitely in one of these, because then we'd know that D has to be in the box. In the killer cage, I should be a bit more specific, pardon me. So we've got A, B, C, D. Still need E, H with a G by the looks of things. I'm going to say the G can only be in here, and the E is in here, H is in there. Yeah, that gives us box 7. Hang on, what did I do wrong? So we place the E, H, that looks fine. F, A, this can only be an E now. Interesting. I'm gonna backpedal a bit again. Rush something there. So this is G, E, or H. Need that in the column. G is here, so that's G. E or H, this is an H. This has to be an E. H. I seem to be landing in the same trouble again. Yeah, I probably didn't pencil mark column 3 correctly. I'm just gonna, yeah. Yes, that's my mistake, pardon me. These are not H, these are Fs. For a second there, I thought I made a mistake much earlier. Right, so G is up here, E is here, H, F, A, E. None of these are E. Me. We have A and F. And can we place any of them? No. Okay. We now need the following 3. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Is it H, I? That's not H. Remember, D had to be in the box. I mean that we get this H for free, and therefore this is not an H. DI, H. Can we place the DI just yet? Maybe, but I mean, it doesn't matter. We've got the composition of the killer cage, which we'll have to determine probably momentarily, actually. I'm sort of tempted to just finish completing this, then come back to it and just do the grand reveal that is so helpful with Florian's puzzles here in this series. Right, what do we need to still place in here? I'm going to do a bit of coloring, just so that I don't continue to make silly mistakes. Yeah, this helps. Right, we're missing a B or a D up here. E, F, and H still. Surely not. Yeah, That's a no. That's not an E. That's not an H. In fact, we actually know this. This is an F. Therefore, this is a D, B, H. We can solve this now. F, H. Nope. Yeah, we can solve this too. It's quite a bit of tidying up we can do very quickly. Here's an interesting one. This can't be an F, because either it's an F or a D, but it's not joined by a V. So that's got to be an A. Can't be a D anymore because it has to be joined with a V. Therefore, that's an F, F, D, I, D, A, I. You know, I was so tempted to say we've solved the puzzle. Of course not. We're going to have to figure out what are all the letters in a second. But let's just finish box 3 at the top, and then we'll be good to go. So we need an A in here, it goes there. We needed a D in there. We need a B somewhere in here. We need an E somewhere. Yeah, and then 2 reds. A, D, B, oop, E. Come on. There we go. That's an F, and that's an I, and that's... Let's think through now the killer cage. Well, let's actually place some digits. 5. Right. So this is, they're not going to be high digits to go with the 5. Well, not that high anyway. For example, 9, 8 doesn't work with a 5 because that's already 22. Now, the other thing to think about is they are from different... Is polarity the right word? You know, it's not an I and an F, for example, so it's not a straightforward... These don't add up to 15. So if this is 14 and 5, that's 19, leaving space for 3, that works. 16 and 5 is 21, and that's 1. So this is 1 or 3. Let's just quickly test both of them. If this is 1, then the A would be 4, meaning this would be 6. So that's 6 and 6. That's 12. G would have to be 10. That's not going to work. 3 would mean A is 2, and therefore this is 8. That's 11. And 5, that's 16 and an 8. Did I do that correctly? And a 6, pardon me, which is totally doable. 3, 2, 8. Let me just double check. 11 and 5, 17. No. How am I struggling with this so much? 8 and 8, 16. Needs to be 6. You didn't see this bit. Didn't happen. Yeah, I've missed a letter. The F is meant to be the D. It's a 7. There we go. 30 minutes. Another beautiful puzzle Florian. Yeah, I would agree with the difficulty rating somewhat, because I think once you've got the technique down, you can fairly quickly color in. I say fairly quickly, still took us 30 minutes, but you can quickly color in these puzzles, place some placeholders, and just use that last puzzle to basically just open it all up. And they're beautiful puzzles, Florian. I know you hinted in one of the previous videos that you're going to have more in the series. I'm really looking forward to them. Of course, for regular viewers of the channel, we still have 5, 6, 7, and 8 to go. Now, I confess, the reason I started this channel is Colorado 8. So I saw it featured on Cracking the Cryptic. And when I saw that it was number 8, I went and checked Logic Masters Germany and found that there's another 7 in the series, absolutely worthwhile featuring, and they haven't been. So my debut video was Colorado 1, if memory serves correctly. So we'll do 5, 6, and 7. 8, I imagine by the time I get to it, it will actually be something of a distant memory, and it will still be a phenomenal solve, I'm sure. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you enjoyed the puzzle, and it's proven to be a bit more of a challenge. And with that said, bye for now.